A very warm welcome, and thank you for joining our expert session on how to streamline your SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition upgrade. Fast track to success. I have the pleasure of having here with me two experts, Jose Marquez Mares and Fernando Moreira. Jose is part of the Cloud ERP Product Success team and heads the SAP S/4HANA Customer Care and Regional Implementation Group for the Americas. In his role, Jose is responsible for supporting the overall customer adoption of SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. Before this role, Jose was a logistics consultant and integration manager, leading and delivering successful projects related to business transformation and SAP ERP implementation in North and Latin America. Fernando is a principal technology consultant and architect in data and technology services. That was in data technology services practice from America's Adoption Services Center of the B2B organization. With a degree in computer engineering, he joined SAP in 2004. And since 2020, he has also served as a project coach and SAP S/4HANA technology expert from the Regional Implementation Group, aiding customers in their transition to SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. Fernando is also dedicated to knowledge sharing, contributing to the SAP community, and co-authoring and presenting SAP S/4HANA enablement sessions for SAP customers, partners, and internal audiences. And with this, over to you, Jose.
Thanks, Tania. Well, let me make a brief introduction of our team. As Tania mentioned, we are the S/4HANA Customer Care and Regional Implementation Group. And what we have been doing throughout the years is to help customers to successfully move to S/4HANA and also to upgrade their systems to be on the latest release. In the last 2 years, something that we have done along with the SAP Activate team is to consolidate all our experience in projects and create a roadmap so you can have a list of tasks and when those tasks should be performed for upgrading your S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition system. With that, we will start the presentation. So let me share my screen. Second, please. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, Pepe.
Okay, so please, I will hand over now to Fernando, who will start with the presentation.
Thanks, Pepe. So welcome everyone to our session today on how to plan an upgrade for your S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition with SAP Activate. Well, let's start with our usual disclaimer. So, of course, this is an informational presentation, and all the subjects here are possible to change over time. So, let's start with our agenda for today. So the key benefits of upgrades and release strategy, we will do first for HANA, we will do a quick review, and then we'll move to the main part of the presentation on how to plan an upgrade following SAP Activate, and then we finalize with some additional important information and also the key takeaways. Well, let's start with the key benefits of upgrades. The key benefits of upgrades we can basically categorize in 3 main pillars. Of course, unleash innovation. So Being on the latest release offers several advantages, including the access to the latest functionalities and innovation. And it's by being the latest release that it allows the business to actually leverage the cutting edge features, improve the user experiences, and stay ahead of your competitors, right? Then the second pillar is the security and compliance. So SAP is really committed with the latest cybersecurity and data standards to stay current. Stay current with the releases, actually ensure the organizations to have timely updates and support and security updates, reducing the risk of vulnerabilities and of course system disruptions. And finally, building our own upgradable team. So the last few years, SAP has heavily streamlined the overall S/4HANA upgrade process, whether it be with additional tools such as Readiness check, S/4HANA Cloud ALM. We also delivered some additional accelerators, additional services that could be also included to streamline the overall process. And also when we are inside of our S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition, we even SAP is responsible for executing the technical upgrade per se, the actual tool. So with all this, the process is much more streamlined now, and then you can actually now execute it with much less effort, less time, and then you can build this upgrade routine much easier and upgrade frequently to then, of course, get your innovations in your systems. Let's take a quick review on the release strategy for SAP S/4HANA, starting by understanding the differences between feature packages and full S/4HANA release upgrades. Basically, they are very similar the way that we actually delivered the functionalities, of course, bugs and fixes, but also new functionality through the feature packages and release upgrades. But the main difference is on the size or the scope of the changes, right? So feature packages are actually smaller in size compared to the full S/4HANA release. And so, for instance, on a full S/4HANA release, it compiles the 3 feature packages from previous version and some heavy lifting application and technology innovations, such as new ABAP platform, UI5 technology. Usually it requires to update SAP HANA database as a requirement. This is a moment we take to actually remove some of the deprecated apps. So it has a larger scope, while as of course the feature package is the complete opposite. But the main thing to understand here is that we may sometimes to update the feature package, sometimes to upgrade the full S/4HANA releases. So feature packages in general come with a smaller impact overall in custom code, in the needs of business adjustments, in the regression test, and also in the training needs. This is important since, as you may know, we did some changes in the S/4HANA release strategy as of S/4HANA 2023 version. So as you have seen, we didn't have an S/4HANA 2024 version because as of 2023 version, we actually release a full S/4HANA release every 2 years. So the next one will be actually SAP S/4HANA 2025, estimated for October this year. And since now the gap between 2 S/4HANA full releases are larger, we could introduce another feature package. So during that time frame, we actually now have 3 feature packages. And after the 3rd feature packages, then the S/4HANA release goes into mainstream maintenance, which means we still deliver bug fixes, performance innovations, performance improvement, sorry, and other fixes that we actually need to be there for everyone, but this will be through support packages and not feature packages, meaning the new innovations, the new features will be there in the new S/4HANA full release that has just been released. And also, we have extended the mainstream maintenance support from 5 years to actually 7 years. Well, now let's go into our main part of this session. So, Pepe, back to you.
Thanks, Fernando. Can you confirm you can see slide 10?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so let's talk about Activate. So first, SAP Activate not only consider the technical tasks, but also other work streams, like for example, project management, change management. But this presentation is focused only on those tasks that are, let's say, only relevant for upgrades, because the other could be cross transition path or cross product. Okay, so what we have done is divided what are the most important activities by phase. We will go in more detail about the phases that are related to the planning of a project, not the execution. But in Discover, the more important things to consider first is experience the system, so get access to a trial instance and assess the current S4HANA, right? So also for the technical part, run the upgrade readiness assessment. In Prepare is where we go in a little bit more detail about the preparation with the upgrade preparation itself, the transition planning for upgrade, and also fit to standard preparation for specific features that we will explain in more detail later. In Explore is when you already start running the upgrade. So we start with a sandbox instance and also considering some adjustments for Fiori and integration and custom code deep dive analysis. Along with that, we run the fit to standard workshops and also run some sizing and operation impact review. If needed, the part of sizing, Fernando will explain that in more detail later. In Realize is when we move to the productive landscape, when we run the upgrade of the development and the quality system, along with other activities like, for example, the custom code or integration remediation, and also the configuration and testing of additional features that you could have considered as part of the upgrades. And of course, you will run the test, like for example, the regression test or any other test planned during Realize. One important task as well during Realize is the cutover plan, because it's the one that is going to be followed when we move to deploy to run the upgrade of the productive environment. And finally, in Run is when you are going to monitor your operations, you are going to support your system, and it will also be the phase in which you have to consider the continuous improvement, meaning implement new innovations. In the initial phase, in Discover and Prepare, you should have also considered how to move to the clean core, some objects to a clean core approach, and also a plan to activate new Fiori apps. And that is something that could happen, some of them in Realize, but mostly after the technical upgrade during Run. If we go in a little bit more detail about Discover. In Discover, we have two main, we call deliverables with some tasks. The first one is experience a trial instance, right? So when we talk about a trial instance, we mean run end-to-end processes in a system. And for that, we offer an SAP Cloud application, through SAP Cloud Application Library, access to the latest release of S4HANA with a pre-configured solution and with master data, so you can enable this feature in a couple of hours, or enable this system in a couple of hours, and you can run end-to-end processes in this solution. The system is free for 30 days, but you have to pay for the hosting to your hyperscaler. Okay, so in this system, the idea is that you run the processes, identify what are the Fiori apps, identify the processes that you would like to improve. So you will consider that in the scope of your project. The next step is the upgrade readiness assessment. The readiness assessment is to evaluate if it is technically possible to run an upgrade as your system currently is, or take the action so it will be possible to run the upgrade. So there are several sections in SAP Readiness Check to identify that. For example, it will check the simplification items, the items that are in compatibility scope that we will discuss later in a little bit more detail, the integration, the custom code analysis, the app availability, mean the apps that are going to be impacted, also the add-on compatibility. So the idea of this assessment is that you evaluate each section, right? So, and after you have evaluated that, you take some business decisions. For example, if we talk about in the technical part, how you are going to handle the add-ons. So the result of readiness check will show you what are all the add-ons that you may be using. So you have to decide what are you going to do in the target version, so in the latest S/4HANA release. It could be, for example, that you decide that you need some of those add-ons, or that you need you are no longer using those add-ons. You plan to uninstall, and based on that, you will decide what you are going to do. For example, if you are going to keep using one add-on, so you have to align, or you have to reach out to the owner of the add-on to make sure it is compatible with the release that you are targeting. If you are planning to deprecate or to remove one add-on, you have to be sure that there are tools that will allow you to remove that add-on. And again, that is something that you have to discuss with the owner. Then you will have to measure the effort. So it's going to be something that will demand a lot of time. So it's a high effort. Also the activities that you will need to perform, and who is going to be involved for that. With that, I will hand over to Fernando so he can continue with the next phase.
Thanks, Pepe. So let's continue with the prepare phase. So the main deliverables here would be transition planning for the upgrade, right? So this is the moment to define the scope and the execution plan for the upcoming technical upgrade and implementation related features. And then the outcomes from this deliverable could imply in additional preparation activities. Then we have the upgrade preparation. So these activities may result in additional preparation tasks or procedures that may be documented in the upgrade runbook to serve as a base for the upcoming upgrade cycles, and its outcomes should of course be updated in the upgrade project plan accordingly. And finally, the feature standard preparation for specific features. So this is the moment to review the results from the functional review workshop executed before, and prepare to deal not only with the list of simplification items, but also with the implementation of new features in case they are also part of the upgrade scope. Then another important task inside of the transition planning for upgrades deliverable is to evaluate the impacts on Fiori apps or other UIs. So by that, we start with understanding, of course, the app lifecycle, and then we can extract a list of our current apps, and then combine with the results from the previous app availability results extracted by readiness check. And then we can also, with that, we can understand which are the impacts on SAP Fiori apps, so which have successors, which ones maybe are deprecated or even obsolete and need a replacement version. This is the moment we also take to save our initial launchpad just to use it as a reference after the upgrade. And then also we take this moment to review the latest recommendations in SAP Fiori library, so we can take this moment to add new Fiori apps to the actual technical upgrade project scope. And with all that, we can then, of course, estimate the effort to moving to the successor apps. The next task, of course, very important, is to define the technical system upgrade approach. As you can see here, we have different upgrade approaches depending on where the source system is actually hosted, but let's focus here on the right, which means the system is S/4HANA system is already inside the infrastructure of our SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. And in that case, it makes a little bit easier because it's an in-place upgrade procedure, meaning we don't have to actually move to another server or to any other infrastructures. And in order to execute that, we have some different approaches. We have the standard one, the near zero downtime maintenance, and the zero downtime option. So let's see here a comparison between them. The very first one is the well-known standard upgrade procedure with the uptime phase and the downtime phase. And here, of course, we already deliver some downtime reduction techniques, such as the shadow instance usage or silent data migration. But actually, for those customers that need to even reduce further the technical downtime, we offer the near zero downtime maintenance option, NZDM. And with this option, what we do is actually we move some of the tasks that are actually done only in the technical downtime phase to the uptime phase. So with that, we have a larger uptime phase, but that's not a problem because the system is up and running. And then we can reduce the technical downtime phase and help to reduce the overall business downtime. I must say that since this does not require much effort and of course the advantages are pretty great, this is the default option we use inside of our S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition for upgrades unless stated otherwise. And finally, for those customers that run 24/7 and cannot afford maybe 1 or 2 days of business downtime, we have the zero downtime option. In this case, what we do is basically we decrease the technical downtime to basically a single instance restart. We don't even need to restart the HANA database. We just need to restart the S/4HANA application servers. So let's say 5 to 15 minutes. And then the technical downtime is really reduced, contributing a lot, of course, for the overall business downtime reduction. On the other hand, I must say that this ZDO option is available, but it actually requires a little bit more effort during of course, the project execution. So it is available in S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition as an additional charge.
Okay, so then as part of the transition planning for upgrades, we also have other tasks like define the upgrade cycles, right? So it is important for you to define early before your project actually start, what are the conversion or the upgrade cycles that you are going to consider. We recommend to consider at least 4. One sandbox that should be a recent copy of the productive systems. So then move to development Q and P. So why is important to decide this in advance? Because it will help you to first to plan your project to estimate the effort, the time that you are going to need, but also if you consider one additional system, you may need to discuss that with your account executive or our enterprise cloud services team, because in the subscription, normally we provide only a 3-system landscape, right? So if you don't have a sandbox already, so you need to start discussing that, and it will take some time. So that is why it is important for you to consider that as early as possible. Then we move to define the need of dual maintenance. And this is in line with what we just discussed. So it could be that you decided to freeze your system because you are planning to run an upgrade in just 2 or 3 months, right? So if you, let's say, are used to run upgrades, so that could be feasible. But it could be the case that you are upgrading an older version, or maybe you have a lot of custom code and you plan to run the upgrade, but in several months, not just in 3 or 4. If that is the case, likely you are going to need to consider a temporary landscape to support the operation in case there is any change that should happen in the productive system, the system that is live. And for that, what you are going to have to consider is first to create a copy of your dev and queue system and define a retrofit process, right? So every time that you have to make a change in the new landscape, in the temporary landscape, it has to be also retrofit to the landscape in which you are running the upgrade. Again, this is something that has to be decided in advance because it may imply the need of additional systems, and for that you have to discuss with your account executive or the Enterprise Cloud Services team. After that, we move to the business data validation preparation. So if when you are running an upgrade, so there is an important task that is to validate the data before and after the upgrade. So you have to compare to make sure that nothing has been impacted. For that, we have a tool for business data validation. Is part of the subscription, so you don't have to pay for that. But it is important for you on an early phase to decide what are the objects that are going to be compared, and also maybe what are other tools that you will use for the same purpose, right? So again, we recommend that you use the data transition validation tool that we provide, but you may consider other options. For example, if you have custom tables that you also would like to validate, it is important for you to define in advance what would be the tools then and what are going to be the objects. And you have to make sure that to consider only the most important ones, because finally that would be part of your business downtime. And finally, in this phase, we have the fit to standard preparation for specific features. So we talk about the upgrade readiness assessment during the discover phase, right? So as part of the upgrade readiness assessment, the outcome is what are the new features that are going to be implemented. Normally, the upgrades are run only considering a technical scope, but we have features that you should consider as well as part of an upgrade. For example, we talk about the items in compatibility scope. The compatibility scope are features that belongs to SAP ERP that we make available in S/4HANA, but for a limited time, right? So it is important for you to consider to move those features or to replace those features for the strategic solutions that we provide. One example is warehouse management. So if you are running warehouse management, you may consider as part of your scope to move to extended warehouse management, for example. Okay, so during this phase, during the prepare phase, there are two main tasks that you have to consider. The first one is planning the standard workshop preparation. So who is going to join, how the workshops are going to be run, what are the tools that are going to be used, for example, for documentation. I mean, to define how those workshops are going to be run, and also what is the system that is going to be used. So we discussed about a CAL instance. That could be a good alternative for you, but the important thing in this phase is that you decide what is the system that is going to be used for the fit to standard workshop, and also that you leave the system ready. So maybe you are considering to use a CAL instance, but you may need to add, for example, some additional configurations or leave the system ready. So in the next phase, your team will be able to run the fit to standard workshops. Okay, so with that, we will move to realize, and I will hand over again to Fernando.
Thanks, Pepe. So now actually we are now moving to explore phase. And now we are have main deliverables here. Let's start with the sandbox upgrade and the SAP Fiori adjustments. So these overall deliverables are meant to run the functional and technical activities needed to complete the upgrade in the first sandbox system. And after this upgrade is the time for the project team to evaluate if they are ready to move to the actual productive landscape or if it's convenient to perform an odd sandbox interaction. Then we have the feature standard workshops, the sizing and operations impact review. So this is the moment to execute, document, and analyze the feature standard workshops. Perform a size review considering the final solution application design. I'll go into details later on. And review the list of IT operational activities potentially affected by the new functionality coming from the S/4HANA upgrade project. And of course, evaluate the changes required in the current support framework. Okay, well, just to explain, the system upgrade process of S4HANA, SAP S4HANA inside our S4HANA Private Edition, the technical process is still mostly the same. The difference is more on the roles and responsibilities, or who does what, right? So we continue with the overall impact evaluation during the project planning phase. This means gathering documentation, checking interoperability, the actual technical requirements. So for instance, operational systems or database upgrades. But if they are actually there, our SAP Enterprise Cloud Services team will be in charge for executing the actual database and operational system update. Then we go to the actual pre-upgrade activities, or the usual maintenance planner, in order to generate the stack XML file to control the sum execution. And of course, we have to deal with all the simplification item checks, which of course are much less compared to, let's say, full system conversion. When everything is ready, then we can start the actual technical execution through the software update manager. And this is the main difference here. So it's our SAP Enterprise Cloud Services team that actually executes this tool. And throughout the tool, they continue through the usual phases, and they may require some inputs from your side in order to move on. So they will communicate with you throughout the overall process. And then when the sum execution is done, then of course we have to carry out the follow-on activities, the post-upgrade activities as usual. As I just mentioned, the difference here in S4HANA Cloud Private Edition is related to who does what. So in this situation, the SAP team under our, let's say, standard services subscription is always responsible for executing the technical upgrades, the sum execution in all systems. And of course, as I just mentioned, they have to rely on some inputs from your side. They actually can also run even the maintenance planner on your behalf if you want to. And in case, as Pep mentioned, you need some additional temporary systems, like for instance, a sandbox system, or even a system copies to create a dual maintenance track, the actual execution of the system's creation and the system copies is also on our side. Then, of course, we have all the other usual activities. We have project management. We have the preparation reports, simplification items execution, the test preparation, of course, test execution and validation. This all continue with our customers and their project team and partners. But as you can see here in the middle, for these main tasks here in the blue box, we can also request SAP for further support. So for that, inside of our S4HANA Cloud Private Edition, we have a service package that actually is a chargeable service package that's offered by SAP Enterprise Cloud Services team. And with that, we can actually extend the support and the responsibility for the upgrade tasks to SAP. Well, here I just set up some small lessons learned from upgrade executions we have supported. So one first thing is when planning for the upgrades, keep in mind that the lead times for non-production system are a little bit longer than production systems. So for instance, production systems can execute the upgrade during weekends, while non-production systems are only work days. So consider that in your upgrade plan. As I mentioned, Maintenance Planner could also be executed by our SAP Enterprise Cloud Services team on your behalf if you want to. But if that happens, please just inform let's say, explicit all the information they actually need to execute the maintenance planner. So for instance, if you have other add-ons or other components in the same S4HANA instance that you also want to have upgraded, please just explicitly describe that for our team. Otherwise, we can have some misunderstandings. And of course, throughout the overall upgrade process, you may have to submit some extra service requests, for instance, for a specific pre or post upgrade activities. So let's say after the technical upgrade, you still need to maybe upgrade a HANA component, a specific HANA component. Then you have to open a specific service request for our team to do that. So the recommendation here is just to be organized in order to actually request the same service requests and procedures for the production system during the production upgrade cutover. Well, regarding sizing, we usually call it like a final sizing review because, to be honest, in a typical S/4HANA upgrade, we don't expect resizing or additional sizing needs. But of course, we may be adding new features, right? So adding new features may also implying adding new users or maybe adding new data. So the idea here is to, if you add new features, it's important to review if they require proper sizing and then use the quick sizer tool and then sizing guidelines for the specific features to understand their impact on the system. And then just as a safety measure to check if the initial sizing already accorded with our enterprise cloud services team fits well with these new features. So if it does, nothing to do. If it does not, please talk to your account representative to check on how to adjust the sizing needs. Of course, there is this moment to review or maybe redesign the integrations, right? In case they are impacted by the new features or the actual technical S/4HANA upgrade. So the idea is to leverage all the informations we collected so far and revamp or redesign, if necessary, the integrations to comply with the new needs. And also this is a good moment to consider the clean core approach in order to, at least for those integrations that may be a little bit more redesigned rather than just adjusted. And very similarly, we have the impacted custom code objects. So the idea here again is to review in details all the informations and the findings about the custom code impacts. And then this is the moment to actually adjust them. And again, take this moment to consider all the clean core concept recommendations regarding extensibility. Okay, so back to you, Pepe.
Thanks, Fernando. Well, the one additional task in this phase during explore phase is to actually run the fit to standard for a specific feature. As we discussed, those features are the ones that should be considered in the scope if you are, for example, implementing new features or if you are replacing features that are in compatibility scope for the strategic S/4HANA solution. Okay, so in this phase, we will move from step 3 to step 6. Basically, is in step 3 is to actually execute, run the fit to standard workshop. Also document what has been decided and make a validation. For example, what are the deltas, what is the backlog, and prioritize the requirements. And with that information, we move to the design workshop and the documentation, right? So when we are sure about the solution, the priorities, then we are ready to sign off and have what is going to be actually implemented in the next phase, meaning in real life. Okay, so those are all the main tasks to prepare or to plan an S/4HANA upgrade in private clouds. But there is some additional information that we would like to share with you. I'm going to again highlight something important that Fernando mentioned. You are not alone in your journey to upgrade your system. So if you need an additional support from our SAP Cloud service team, so there are different service packages that you can take advantage, right? So those packages go across the different phases when you are planning or when you are running, or maybe a specific task, like for example, the ones regarding related to Fiori. So that is why our recommendation is that you discuss that with the cloud services team, so to define what are the activities that you would like them to run and define based on that the additional responsibilities for them. Additionally to that, because finally those are paid services, as part of the subscription is included already some CQC services. So we have CQC services for transformation assessment, for example, that happen during the prepare phase and also during realize. Additionally to that, we have other services that happen as an analysis, the CQC for private cloud go live, and the CQC for private cloud go live verification. So those are already included in the subscription. So I will not go in detail about the scope of each one. You can check it in these notes. But the recommendation is that you take advantage of that. So in prepare that you know and you receive some recommendations based on your own system. So you will be in a better position to prepare your project and also during realize, so to make sure that you are ready to go live and in deployed to have a final review. Okay. And well, another important activity is the clean core benefits for an upgrade. As you know, we have been sharing how important for SAP is that you try to keep your core clean. It does not mean that you don't have to create your own custom code, but what we are recommending is that you try to create that custom code using the new extensibility options that we provide. So what would be the main benefits of that? First, it is going to reduce the total cost of ownership associated with an S/4HANA upgrade. So the less code that you have to remediate, it will the direct impact is going to be that you won't need all those additional testing, and it could also reduce the duration of your upgrade. And of course, it will reduce the risk associated with an S/4HANA upgrade. So if you have a more stable solution, it's going to be easier for you to upgrade. And with that, you are not going to have a risk of planning an upgrade, let's say, every 2 years. So from these lessons, now we would like to finish with some key takeaways. The first recommendation is that you run SAP Readiness check as early as possible, right? So this tool will help you to get early insights for your S/4HANA upgrade, right? So what are the technical things that you have to consider? So it will help you to define the scope, to define what are the pre-activities that you have to do before you run your upgrade. Then that you plan effectively. So it means that you spend some time in the preparation so that you define, for example, all the activities that we have discussed, for example, the upgrade cycles that you are going to have, that you run all the pre-projects that you could have defined, and also that you start discussing with the ECS team the need of additional systems if that is the case. The next key takeaway is that you should develop a long-term strategy, right? So the upgrade normally is a technical step, but it should not be the end of your journey. So when you upgrade your system, you have to plan to implement new innovations and also to remove, for example, custom code or interfaces and to replace them with either standard features or code that is developed using the new extensibility options. Another important aspect is that you should try to keep your system updated, right? So as Fernando mentioned at the beginning, so if you build a routine to upgrade your system, it would be easier for you. So if you wait, let's say 5 years, likely the project is going to take longer. But if you are used to run an upgrades one per year or one every other year, so it will make your life a lot easier when you plan and run your upgrade. And finally, that you take advantage of the services and tools included in your subscription, and also the ones that we mentioned that could that has some extra, I mean, some are additional services. So, but at least for the ones that are included in your subscription, you should be aware of that and plan accordingly, right? So consider, for example, those CQC services along your journey, along your upgrade. Well, that is all that we wanted to share with you today. Please, if you have any question, feel free to reach out to us. Here's my email address.
Great. Thank you so much for your excellent presentation. And so currently we don't have any questions yet in the chat, but I would like to take the opportunity of having you two here with me. And perhaps you can unshare, Jose. So we are all visible. Great, thank you. So, you know, the user groups, they often ask us actually, how long does an upgrade really take in general, an average?
Let me take that, Fernando. I will answer based on the experience that we have, based on the customers that we have supported. And on average, the project duration has been around 4 months. Okay, but the time depends on several factors. For example, the scope, also how all the source version is, the custom code. We have had customers who have run upgrades in 3 months because they are used to run upgrades. But we also have had customers who run an upgrade in 6 months because of the reason that I mentioned before, right? So it was an older release with a lot of custom code. I mean, it was a new type of project for this customer.
Thank you so much. And then one question we often get, independent of actually the solution, is what is the best way? And in this case, I mean, you know, many customers are in the phase of transforming. What is the best way to start with SAP Activate?
Fernando, do you want to take this one?
Okay, well, actually, we can go to the SAP for me in the roadmap viewer. So with this tool, we can actually access the specific roadmap, in this case for the upgrade inside of our S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. And there you'll find the overall SAP Activate deliverables, the tasks, and everything you need to follow in order to have a successful upgrade projects.
Thank you very much. And then one final questions from the user groups we also often like to get is, what innovations are available in private cloud that are not available on-premise?
Okay, so regarding that question, first, we have some solutions that are, let's say, not within S/4HANA, but only available through RISE. Let's say, for example, we have Green Ledger or Sustainability Control Tower, right? So those are solutions that are only available if a customer has a RISE subscription. If we talk about specifically about S/4HANA, from 2023, we have started to release features that are only commercialized through RISE. I think that the most important example is Joule, right? So Joule, only customers running in private cloud have access to that solution, and not only Joule, but other business AI solutions. Okay, so from 2023, we have released several use cases for business AI that can only be used if for customers running in private cloud. So I will share with you a blog that we have published so you can identify what are the main features. But if we have to list some of them along with you, we have other features. The AI, like for example, let me check here because I have it in front of me. AI assisted master data governance, AI assisted maintenance order recommendation, and we have several of those that are only available starting in 2023 for private cloud customers.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will quickly, here we go. Give me a second. I need to switch on my laptop. I'll be back in a second. Oh, back again. So sorry. My son switched off the plug. So therefore, here we go. So I will, in here, I'm trying to put in the thing for, here we go. I enter the link to the blog about the innovations available only in the private cloud. So thank you so much, Jose and Fernando. We currently don't have any questions in the chat, but what I would like to offer, if that's okay with you, should any questions come up after the sessions, because that often happens, please just post them here in the comments area underneath this video, and we will be looking at them and answer all your questions. So if no questions come up, then once again, I would like to express really my big thank you to our experts, Fernando and Jose, for your excellent presentation. And last but not least, of course, a big thank you to all attendees for joining. And I would like to wish you a great evening, great day, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.